welcome back to Journey into Ayurveda. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kate, and I'm here with Ashwini, and we have a special guest, Jeff, with us today. Episode 7. So we're interrupting our mini-series on fact versus fiction, Ayurveda style, to bring another mini-series called Conversations with Our Ayurvedic Classmates. So that's right, we have a special guest with us today, a classmate and someone I like to call my star partner. His name's Jeff. And if you all remember our first episode that Ashwini and I did, we talked a lot about who we are and about our journey into Ayurveda. And Jeff, we'd love to do something similar with you today. But before we start, Ashwini, will you take us through a little bit of a internalization?
Yes, definitely. Let's start with Ragadiroga. Close your eyes. Take deep breath. Ragadiroga Satatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasutanashesha Autsukyamohan Ratitan Jaghana Yo Apurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai.
Thank you for that. So good. Can you just remind our listeners a little bit of what that means?
Yes, definitely. Ragadiroga. Ragadiroga is like the mini translation of Ragadiroga is it's a constant pendulum between Raga and Dvesha. So Raga in itself is the desires, what we want, and Dvesha is the things which we have and we don't want it. The constant pendulum between Raga, Dvesha, Moha, Mada, Matsara, all those things will be a seed for disease. We talk about disease and mental balance, and disease is like a new concept, but Ashtanga Hridayam, first sloka itself, they will start explaining you about how when you have mental health, you will have physical health. If you lose physical health, you will lose mental health. It's an amazing sloka to start all our podcast with.
Yes, I love it. And Dr. J always says mind care is life care too. So it was good with that. All right. Cool. So Jeff, welcome. And thanks for joining us. The other thing I forgot to point out is that Jeff was our first subscriber to our YouTube station. So thanks for being such a big supporter, Jeff. And then to start, I thought, to start, will you tell us a little bit about who you are? So where you're located, what you like to do in your free time, and our favorite question, what's something 5-year-old you would say about you currently, like you in your current state? What would like inner child Jeff say about you?
Okay. So inner child, not like if I actually met myself?
Either way.
Well, I'm Jeff. Okay. I live in Washington, in the Seattle area, north, out in the country. I am currently an engineer. My background is electrical and systems, so taking a little bit of a turn to do Ayurveda. In my free time, I like to do flow movement type exercises like kettlebell juggling, rope flow, steel mace type stuff, and lots of reading, lots of reading, which Ayurveda is good for as well. If I interacted with 5-year-old me would come away like commenting how like goofy or funny I was, because I know I do prefer to just goof off like all the time. So if I'm like with 5-year-old me, we'll have a blast because I know how to crack myself up. Like that guy was so cool.
Awesome. I love that.
That's interesting. Like goofing off or like having fun, you're not a really child is like amazing strength to have. I wish I could have that.
Yeah.
And
takes years of cultivation.
Yes, I should learn it from you, definitely. So yeah, Jeff, our teacher, Dr. T, always says, you don't find Ayurveda, Ayurveda finds you. So how did you find Ayurveda, or Ayurveda found you? How long has Ayurveda been a part of your life?
Okay. So it's interesting because really how Ayurveda found me was, it was a suggestion from my yoga teacher. And I just took it, looked up Ayurveda, and realized it was for me. But I was working with my yoga teacher on career change stuff, like really finding what I really wanted to do with the rest of my life. Engineering's fine, but I want to do something else. And I've been taking prereqs because I knew whatever I wanted to do involved biology or chemistry. So I was just taking the prereqs and everything was going to fall into place, and jumped all over interest from nutrition to naturopathy, biochem, back to nutrition. And then really working with her, she suggested Ayurveda, like knowing me, and yeah, I thought it was right because one of my side like passions is nutrition, and like for the past 10, 12 years, that's what I like reading and like cooking and caring about all my inputs. So that's really what got me interested in health, and the path that I took was very kind of Ayurvedic. It's interesting to look back and reflect on the things that I've stumbled upon that are good for my prakriti. But I didn't know. I just realized like, oh, like in yoga practice, something with my eyes closed and slow and deliberate is like really good, or I shouldn't have extra spicy stuff, or I might become a little extra spicy myself. And my favorite fruits and veggies were like mostly spot on. So it was interesting to see how like Ayurveda, just because if you don't know it, it still exists. So I was still kind of practicing. But officially, since school started, so what, we're at 10 months now?
Yeah.
It's gonna be soon.
Yeah. So relatively like short in terms of like your experience with Ayurveda, but I think you hit on something pretty key, is that it is really intuitive. And I think a lot of us, once we start to like really understand the mechanics or the different qualities of the foods and what makes us feel certain ways, like we're able to really understand more of that intuitive nature of Ayurveda, which is so magical. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So this is something that I think Ashwini and I have talked about a little bit, and something that I still kind of like struggle with in terms of how to formulate a response to this. So Jeff, what is Ayurveda to you? And what do you say to someone when someone's like, Jeff, what's Ayurveda? What's kind of your definition of it?
Yeah, I think we all have a different definition that really kind of rings to why we love Ayurveda or why we have found it in our lives. When I have to describe to somebody, I just say it's an ancient Indian health system and really a philosophy on health and the human body that focuses on the qualities of all the things that we intake to help balance our current body state. And to me, specifically, it's an escape from nutritional reductionism, like counting calories or macros, or just unhealthily caring too much about like the specifics of the food. Ayurveda is more intuitive and kind of a framework for what I should be consuming and what I should consume less of. And that's personally what it is to me, like a personal philosophy for staying balanced and my best self.
Yes, that's amazing. Like how it's so intuitive, that I find it very intuitive as well. Like you said, like when you are feeling spicy, you cut down on chilies as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that like direct, but it is very intuitive when you start understanding. When you have a pitta imbalance, for me, like I have to cut down on spice. Like that's the amazing part of Ayurveda. Yeah. Based on your Ayurvedic education so far, what are the three best things that you have changed in your life as a result of learning Ayurveda, and what difference have you had because of it?
I think the biggest one is eating about the same time every single day. And I mean, we learned that the time is the most important part of what we eat. And that makes sense after it was like told to me, but I didn't live that my whole life. So just seeing how better my digestion is and how less discomfort I have. Yeah, like personally, I had a full formed bowel movement for the first time in a while because of Ayurveda and my digestion. And I think locking in my meal times has contributed to that a lot. And second, general timing as well, like what time of the day we should be doing different things. Specifically, I was working out at lunchtime, like 11 or 12, and I was doing like heavy kettlebell stuff, and I would be exhausted all afternoon. Not exhausted, but a little tired and sluggish. And just moving that to kapha time, one, I just feel a lot stronger. It sets me up for the rest of the day, and I feel like I get more benefit out of that practice just by doing it at the right time. And lastly, or thirdly, because there's more than three, it's helped me be less extreme, which is something that my yoga teacher talked to me. Like, some people can be very fanatical about Ayurveda, so just watch out because you have a tendency to be fanatical. So I'm glad I was told that, so I could go in with the right mindset, because we learned that being fanatical about Ayurveda isn't Ayurvedic, so kind of, you undo it. But like being gentler to myself about if I don't eat according to Pitta, or if I have to have, not have to, but if I falter from my ideal food schedule, like, it's okay, you gotta live your life. And I've been working on that for a long time, but Ayurveda specifically has helped like really solidify that, which, for the better.
That's awesome. And Ashwini and I have talked about a couple of those things, that like kind of medium path is like the one to take, right? Like we can all fall into those extremes, whether it's Ayurveda or yoga or whatever it is. Those extremes are there, and they're hard to, got to find that middle road. And then the other thing that you said, I think Ashwini talked about this in our first episode too, is that of like having that compassion for yourself, and knowing that like, yeah, there's foods that we can consume all of the foods, but there are some that, are going to be a little bit better and a little bit worse for us depending on what we've got going on. So having that grace and that love for yourself, I think, is so huge, and will just continue to grow.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also like how he said, he eating on the right time. That's exactly what I found that too. Like, I mess up with anything with that. Like, I sometimes eat pizza, I sometimes eat ice cream. Like, I am a little bit flexible with that, but I'm not flexible with eating on the right time, because that's what gave me energy that I have today. That's what gave me all like I feel so calm and quiet because that I'm eating on the right time, and I'm like having that like smoothness in my life. That's 100%. I agree with that statement.
Yeah, like living with nature, one with Prakriti.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right. Well, anything else, Jeff? Anything else you'd like to share? Ashwini, anything I may have forgotten?
I'm so glad we are doing this with our friends, because we have an amazing friends who come from all walks of life, not just Ayurveda. Like, they come from vast variety of life. That's what I like about this. Like, whatever path you come from, you find Ayurveda, and everything is like we have one common path which we took, and we become friends from that. That's amazing concept for me.
Yeah, and we know a lot of our classmates just from class, but it's gonna be cool seeing these episodes on other friends to really get more of a detailed description of their path and getting to know them that way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you again for joining us for episode 8. Thank you to all of our listeners. Yeah. For joining us for Conversations with Classmates with our first subscriber. Thank you again for supporting us, Jeff. And as a reminder, our aim on this episode is to provide educational content and share a bit more about our journey into Ayurveda. Feel free to check out our Instagram and TikTok pages. That's right, we're on TikTok, y'all. This is big news. Check us out. You can shoot us an email as well, and we'll be back very soon with Fact versus Fiction, our mini series, and we'll continue to bring mini conversations with our classmates. Thank you.
Bye.